1010 Brewing is situated north of downtown Orlando, sandwiched perfectly between the Mills 50 District and Ivanhoe Village. Today I'm going to sample some of their beers with Magic head coach Steve Clifford. Let's go see what's on tap. I'm Christian Bruey, and I'm on a mission to discover the best breweries in Florida. Along the way, I'll enjoy a few beers with some of the most interesting people in sports and entertainment. So sit back, relax, and grab a pint. This is On Tap. Steve Clifford is in his first year as the head coach of the Orlando Magic. Today we'll enjoy a flight and talk about his trip to the finals with the Magic back in '09 and how he plans to get Orlando back to the playoffs. Coach, let's start with just a sip of this first beer. They call it the White Rhino, a little Belgian-style wit, citrus, coriander. Named after Mike, one of the co-owners' son, Ryan, like Ryan Sandberg, so they called it the White Rhino. Pretty good.
Not bad.
All right, your beginnings. Your father was your coach. Is that where the basketball love affair was born?
You know, definitely. I grew up in a basketball family where, he was, the varsity coach and the JV coach, the freshman coach were always at our house. And, my dad used to let me sit there, watch them watch film as long as I didn't talk. And so from a young age, I loved to play, and I think I always knew I'd be a coach.
Did you always think, hey, I want to be an NBA coach, or was, hey, I just love coaching and let's see where the road goes?
I never had the goal, even when I was an assistant in this league, or never had the thought that the end all was to be a head coach. I've been fortunate. I love coaching. When I was in college, like the pro thing, it just came out of nowhere. Jeff called one day and said, do you want to try the NBA? I've never had this vision of where I would end up. I love to coach. I honestly have never had a bad year, an experience I didn't enjoy. So no, I'm one of the happiest people I know.
Yeah. How did the relationship with the Van Gundys and then I guess Jeff originally, because your job with the Knicks?
So I was a high school coach in Maine. Jeff was a high school coach in upstate New York, and we both worked Jim Boeheim's camp at Syracuse, and our drill stations were beside each other, and just kind of hit it off, stayed in touch. Believe it or not, Stan was coaching at Castleton State in Vermont, and my sister was a student there.
What is that duo like, maybe away from the camera, away from the basketball court?
Oh, the dynamic when they're together is, as you can imagine, is incredible. I mean, two really dynamic, highly intelligent guys who are very close, but a lot of fun, and like anybody else, you meet people in your life that you're fortunate to have the opportunity to be around, and that's certainly how I feel about them.
Stan gets the job after the interesting Billy Donovan comes, leaves, his number pops up on your phone. How does that, when a head coach gets a job and he calls an assistant coach, how does that go? And how did that go?
For me, it was phenomenal because, we had just lost our jobs in Houston. NBA jobs are difficult to get. I had a couple chances other places that were long shots. Stan was a great coach. So I knew that, one, I'd learn a ton, and two, I'd be comfortable with the way he did things. So when he called, I think he'll tell you, I think he called me on maybe like a Saturday, and he's like, I just packed up, jumped in my car, and I drove from Houston to Orlando. I think I was here like Monday. And it was a phenomenal 5 years, working with him and the staff we had, the team we had, Otis Smith, Dave Twardzik. It was just an incredible, great time.
The next one from 1010, Sunday Best. This is interesting. They call it the Neapolitan beer because it's got chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, and I guess you can get a taste of all those.
Well, you can taste it.
That's a good
As a
little
guy
ice
who's
cream.
obviously had a lot
Some
of ice cream in my
today.
life, yeah.
Yeah, he gives you the call. You know, Dwight Howard's already here. Jameer's already here. Then they add Rashard Lewis that offseason. Did you see it immediately? Like, this is a team, there's a window there to go win a championship.
You know, one of the great stories, the story behind the story was Rashard came here and made it known publicly that he didn't want to play the 4 as a free agent. He'd been an all-star in Seattle, but didn't want to play the 4 anymore. And back then, people weren't doing 4 out a lot, you know. Stan doesn't get enough credit for that. He was one of the first guys. And I remember we had a meeting, and Stan said, you know what? I know he doesn't want to do it, but I'm going to bring Rashard in this morning and tell him, if you'll play the 4, we can start you and Turk together, and I think we can take off. He said, I think he'll fight me. I don't think he'll want to do it. The meeting lasted like 30 seconds. So he told Rashard, if you'll play the 4, I think we can become a great team. Rashard said, then I'll play the 4. And that was, you know, Stan walked out. I could tell he was jacked, and really the whole thing really took off from there.
How much fun was that for you? The city's on fire. You know, it's Orlando. You're the only show in town, and you guys are going to the finals. What's that like for you?
Oh, it's the most fun I've ever had in my life. I mean, it was incredible. And, you know, the Lakers were better than us. I mean, they were a good team, but, you know, two of the first 4 games were overtime.
Yeah.
You know, we could have won game 2, and then, you know, we missed free throws down the stretch, or we would have won game 4. And so it was, you know, some great memories.
Well, let's go to the next beer they have here is the East-West IPA, kind of their traditional IPA beer. I don't know, it's the hoppy, if you drink a beer, what do you drink?
There's no ice cream in that.
No ice cream in that one. That's more of the bitterness, 65 IBU for the beer aficionados.
It's worthwhile, but it's not as good as the ice cream.
You like the ice cream?
Yeah.
All right. The year after you go to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's called around here the Dwight Mayor and all that. What is your relationship? Because you went with Dwight to LA and then you had him in Charlotte last year.
Well, Dwight and I have a good relationship, and I think what happens in this league, whether it's fair or not fair, there are a lot of reasons why you win and there's a lot of reasons why you lose. And again, with the media being what it is, the best players get maybe sometimes more than their share of acclaim, but they take more than their share of the blame. And I think in Dwight's case, that's what's happened. I know for us, you know, I think this past year in Charlotte, he had the best year he's had in 4 or 5 years. He was in phenomenal shape. If you remember when he was young, he had the knee issues, he had the back issues, and at his, I don't want to say his age, but when you come out at 18 and you're playing 100 games a year, and especially the way he plays, he's a big man, to be in the type of condition he's in just shows how committed he is to the game.
Stan has never been one to sugarcoat anything. He tells us in that press conference that he was told, and then Dwight comes out, and it's definitely the most awkward thing I've ever experienced, I think, in covering. When that happened, maybe you guys are in the back, or I don't know where you're at. What was that experience like?
I was
for you
actually
guys?
shooting at a basket with Turk right there.
That's right.
I didn't know what was happening, but no, I mean, like I think that you know, coaching in this league, and it's one of the reasons Stan is so good, is so much about credibility with the players, and it comes through a lot of things: preparation, knowledge of the NBA game, having a way that you communicate with the players, being able to handle both success and disappointment. Stan's great at all that stuff, but as much as anything, they know he's honest and direct. And I just think that when you're like that, it is hard for grown men who are at the top of their profession to not respect that. And it's one of the things that has made him such a great coach.
Will you be as honest and direct with
the
us?
media?
Yeah.
No, never. No.
After the break, the guys at 1010 Brewing reveal how to properly name a new beer, plus more from Coach Clifford on his return to O-Town. We're back with new Orlando Magic head coach Steve Clifford, but first I took a trip to Orlando's Mills 50 district, where the guys at 1010 Brewing have been serving up unique beers since 2015.
We're now here with the co-owner of 1010 Brewing, Mike Wallace. And Mike, you've told me what you think really makes you guys unique is you have fun with the beers and you try things.
Absolutely.
Where did that come from? Just your personality or what?
I mean, that's a lot of us. We got into this home brewing, and that's kind of the fun at home. You're not worried about making giant batches of something, and then what are you going to do with it? How do you market it? Where does it go? You just, I'll throw this in my beer, throw that in my beer, and see how it comes out. And we're at a level to where we can still keep that fun aspect of the business.
I think that's one of the fun parts of going to a brewery is you come in, you look, and there are all different things. Do you feel like that's what draws people to your brewery as well?
Absolutely, yeah. We, even with our regulars, people that are here fairly often, they still constantly, what's new?
What is the process of, is there a round table, Knights of the 1010 that are sitting around coming up with ideas, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a lot of beers. We went to our distributor the other day, Horace and I was telling someone when we came back, I think we came up with like 8 beers that we wanted to brew. So it's, we always have ideas. Let's try this. Let's, push our boundaries too as brewers.
How much does the agriculture and what's grown here in Orlando, we're known for citrus, play into what you guys do?
We love using local ingredients. We have used a bunch of stuff that have come from, produce. We have a guy that sources a lot of stuff. So we say anything you need, but he gets us honey, he gets us mangoes, he gets us, pretty much whatever you're looking for, he can find. But one of the coolest ingredients I think we've come across, and we're going to be putting in a beer. We're working with Greenwood Cemetery, and we're doing a Halloween beer, and they have a oak tree that's been on the cemetery for, I know he said over 150 years, and it was struck by lightning. So he brought us these big chunks of just charred oak that we're gonna sterilize and put in an imperial stout for Halloween. And that's a local ingredient, not citrus, but I'm pretty excited about that.
You grew up in Orlando, born and raised.
Born and raised,
what's
absolutely.
it mean to have a brewery that's become popular here in Orlando and people are enjoying your concoctions?
I still pinch myself every day. So I've been into beer since I started making beer in high school, home brewing, and it's like always been trying to get in the beer business, and there wasn't a great beer culture here for a long time. I mean, we had Orlando Brewing, and we didn't have like what Tampa, where there's 20 breweries, or, so we've kind of seen it grow now to where the new Ale Trail map, I think there's 27 breweries on the Ale Trail map, but it's cool to be a part of it, and it's cool to see, people coming in here, trying what we're doing.
1010 Brewing has been pouring beers since the summer of 2015, and they've been serving locals their one-of-a-kind brews with some very unique names ever since. I found out what goes into naming those beers with someone who's been behind the bar since the beginning.
We're here at 1010 Brewing with Gordon Jackman, and the OG is what they call you around here?
I guess so.
Why?
Because I'm one of the only people that's been around since the opening, pretty much. There's it's Horace and Mike and the owners, pretty much, and me. So people have come and gone, but I've stayed around since.
1010. Why the name of 1010?
We joke and we tell people stories that are not true, but really it's because it's the address.
So a lot of thought went into the 1010.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't help.
What is the best story that, right off the top of your head,
I already know the best.
Come on.
Brian, one of the guys that works here, convinced like 3 or 4 people that there were Indians called 1010 Indians that used to inhabit this area in Orlando, and that's why we named it.
What about the names for the beers? How much do they let the OG weigh in on?
Actually, recently, the Frap the Pain Away, I got to do that one. Most of them, we just bounce ideas off of each other. Sometimes Horace has a really good idea, or Mike does, but it's an organic experience, like deciding what a new beer is going to be named. So,
How cool is that? I mean, it's not a child.
No.
But
and we just, like, you know, Horace will give us the ingredients or what he's doing, and then it's a dialogue between 3 or 4 of us that just start throwing ideas off of each other, and then really, you know, just at one point somebody goes, "That's the one," and that's what we do. So it's pretty fun.
So is there?
Over a few beers.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
Is there a zone for you where maybe more of your names have like a 3 to 5 beer zone?
It's kind of like you know,
Bowling?
parlor games of skill. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, darts, pool, bowling, golf, maybe.
Yes.
You get in that zone with people that are like-minded, and it just starts rolling. You know.
After the break, Coach Clifford tells us about his plans for Orlando's rookie phenom Mo Bamba when On Tap returns. But first, do you know which one of these is Magic Center Mo Bamba? Is it A? Is it B? Or is it C? And the answer is C, Mo Bamba. Welcome back to On Tap. Let's rejoin our conversation with Magic head coach Steve Clifford to find out what brought him back to Orlando.
As we get into now that you've returned, let's wrap it up with the second window, Imperial Stout. You drink coffee a lot? I mean,
I do.
It's got some coffee and a little kick to it.
Yeah, I need a little vanilla creamer with it.
Yeah,
That's good for me.
it does have a little
Yeah.
hazelnut in there though. So. You get the call to come back. Was that a tough decision at all?
Oh, no, not at all. You know, I was actually talking to people about assistant spots. I did interview for a couple of head jobs. But when Jeff Boatman and John Hammond called, I was ecstatic. I think we view things in very much the same vein. I think that
How so?
I just think that they are no gimmick foundation guys. You know, they want to do it the right way. They know how to build a team. We're going to stand for the right things as an organization, which always starts with them. So I couldn't be, you know, fortunate the way the whole thing worked out.
Clearly, Orlando wants a winner, and we haven't seen that since you left. How does what they want in this no gimmicks in the foundation, how does that become a playoff team?
Work. I think the internal development is obviously, that has started. But if you look at what we did in free agency with not a lot of money, I think we've got guys that are going to be good down the road. The draft was a home run with Mo. And I will also say this, Melvin Frazier has a chance to be a good player. So I think that we did well in the draft. And I think that the trades, if you know the dynamic of a team, will help our team internally too. So, you know, it's obviously a constant process. But I think that we're at a point now where we can both have expectations of winning and while we develop our young players.
Do you walk down the street and fans see, or do you realize how they are desperate?
I had dinner with Evan Fournier the other night, and he was saying that the fans are good now. I can't imagine how they would be, and they were phenomenal. I mean, you know, this was a tough place to come and play in those years, and it can be the same thing again.
Tell me a little bit more about Mo and what you've gotten to know about him over this last month. That press conference, he won it. I mean, from our perspective, he made us laugh, he gave all the right answers, but as a basketball player, along with that.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that he's what the NBA is all about to me, because he's much more, and it does start with his defensive presence.
Okay.
But to win big now is all about two-way players. Much is made about if you can't shoot threes, you can't play. I don't agree with that. It helps. You can't have many guys on the floor that can't shoot threes. As much as what's happened now is people play more and more shooters, if you can't defend your position, you are as equal a liability as a guy that can't shoot with range, in my opinion. My vision of him is that he can excel in all of those things. His offense isn't near what his defense is. He's 19 years old. He's a good worker. He's very smart. But he's going to shoot the three. The other part of it is on offense, to be good now, you have to have one of two things. The ability to play 5 out, which I think we'll be able to do with him and definitely with Vooch on the floor, or the dynamic roles, the Capella. And I think that Mo will be able to do both of those things. So it's going to take a little time. I mean, he's 19. He's got to gain weight, but very bright, a good worker, and a ton of personality.
I saw you do an interview and you said what you want to have happen with the Magic is when other teams look at the schedule, they see the Magic on there and they go, oh, what is it about a team that makes an opposing coach go, oh,
take away strengths of the other team, be low turnover, get the ball to your best players where they need to get the ball, hang together, play with a toughness when the score is tied. Other team game with 8-0 have the ability to answer. Know that you're going to have a way to play and you're going to play it for 48 minutes. That's what good NBA teams do.
Is it when you see Golden State, or is it still
Yeah.
That's it for today's episode of On Tap.
I want to thank 1010 Brewing and Coach Clifford for coming in. Cheers.
Cheers.
Looking for more On Tap moments or want to find out where we're at next? Follow us on Instagram @BreweyOnTap.